I'm Ryan Waters. I'm the owner of Mountain Professionals, and we'd like to take this chance to show you what it's like to climb Kilimanjaro with us. You know, Kilimanjaro, the trip's geared towards people that are not only trying to go for the 7 summits, it's often one of the first mountains that people will do because you can gain a really high altitude, but the route we choose is very straightforward from a technical standpoint. There's no technical climbing, it's more of a trekking peak. So we're climbing with boots or trekking shoes and just a light day pack because we have so much staff to help assist people with carrying personal items, all the group gear, all the expedition stuff we need on the mountain. What we choose to do is to provide really high-end logistics, staff, hotels, transfers, all the stuff that you'd expect on a really well-run expedition. And so we always have a Western mountain guide leading the expedition with our Tanzanian local staff that are very talented and also work as assistant guides, porters, cooks. And so we like to just elevate that experience and have really good on-mountain logistics, great tents, dining domes, and really high-quality food while on the expedition. Day 1 is arriving to Tanzania at Kilimanjaro International Airport, and we spend the first night there, have a welcome dinner, and just get to know the team. The second day, we take a rest day at a really nice hotel in Moshi, and that allows people to get over jet lag, kind of relax, and just get on the ground in Tanzania. It also allows us to have a really quality team meeting so we can answer questions, and we can also do a gear check during that day. And we find that that's really helpful for people in setting them up for the next day when we actually go to the mountain. On the first day of the actual trek or climb, we take a transfer to the Machame Gate, and that's where we begin our actual trek on the mountain through several different types of ecosystems, mostly in the trees in kind of a temperate rainforest in a way. And so we'll often see monkeys and just trek through some amazing scenery. On the second day of the climb, we leave Machame Camp and we trek through the forest for several hours, but then we slowly exit out of the vegetation and kind of reach the alpine zone. It's usually about 4 hours up to the Shira Camp at 12,000 feet. And so that's a beautiful campsite. We can see our first real great views of Kilimanjaro, and it's a very comfortable camp. The third day of our climbing itinerary is kind of the biggest day aside from the summit day itself, because we leave Shira Camp and our goal is to circle behind this feature called the Lava Tower at about an elevation of 14,000 feet. And then we drop back down that day and camp at almost the same elevation as the Shira Camp the night before. So we're essentially climbing high and sleeping low, and this helps our team members acclimate appropriately for going higher on the mountain. Leaving Barranco Camp, the first objective that morning is to climb the Barranco Wall, often referred to as the breakfast wall, and it's kind of the steepest portion of the route. There's some portions of using your hands and climbing up little features. It's super exciting. And then eventually we just kind of traverse some gullies and walk on over to the Karanga Camp. On the 5th day of the climb, we essentially are putting ourselves in position at the high camp. And so we leave the Karanga Camp, trek about 3 to 4 hours over to the high camp, which is called Barafu. And there we'll try to get there and have a really good lunch and be relaxing and have a summit meeting so that people can get to bed early and prepare themselves for that night, for leaving for the summit. Then on summit day, we typically get groups up in the middle of the night and climb out of the camp via headlamp. And everyone's anxious for that sun to finally peek up over the horizon and warm everyone up on the way to Stella Point, which is the crater rim. And you know, once we reach Stella Point, it's a great feeling because we got through most of the uphill on the whole summit day, and the sun's up and people are really excited because we have one really good break at Stella Point. We can look in and see the actual crater of the top of Kilimanjaro. And then we just have one last bit to traverse around the crater rim to Uhuru Peak at 19,430 feet, the highest point on Kilimanjaro. After our groups reach the summit of Kilimanjaro, we descend back to our high camp at Parafu and we take a nice break, have some good lunch, and then we actually pack up and just descend for about an hour and 45 minutes down back into the trees at what's called Millennium Camp. And that is great for getting out of that high elevation, getting back down to a more comfortable location, and getting a great night's rest after summiting the peak. After we've spent the night in Millennium, we just have like a half-day trek down through the forest back to the park gate, where we're met by our staff and we have a transfer to a really nice hotel in Arusha. And that's a great spot where we can have a celebration dinner, showers, and we are transitioning into that safari portion of the trip. To start the safari portion of the trip, we wake up and are met by our safari staff, and we load up in the 4x4 Land Cruisers and drive a few hours toward Tarangire National Park. And we have a half-day safari there, and it's great for seeing all kinds of wildlife. And then that evening we make our way towards Ngorongoro, and that's just an amazing park where we are able to stay at one of our favorite hotels in the world, right on the crater rim at the Wildlife Lodge, and just enjoy an incredible scenery looking down into the crater. And the next morning, we wake up very early and we go down into the crater, and it's just flush with all kinds of animals. It's such a concentrated variety of all the big game that everyone wants to see, and so it's a really amazing experience. For people that are interested in climbing Kilimanjaro, just contact us via email and we can send you all kinds of information on trip dates and everything that's needed for the trip. We hope to see you out on either Kilimanjaro or any of the other adventures we guide throughout the year.